All right. Hey, let's see. Delay ads, you're an unimportant part. You can insert. Um, okay. I'm not really sure if, yeah, this is the very first time I've gone live, so if you're joining me, I don't know if anybody is joining. So, never done this before. Uh, just all around a new experience. Um, One thing so what I want to talk about with this go live is basically like I want to talk about something I've been developing for about almost like a year now. Taken like I took off from recording videos from I think March of 2023 to like right now, and um to basically just sink all my available time into developing JustPress. And JustPress, without beating around the bush too much, JustPress is my dream alternative to WordPress. I've tried for the longest time to use WordPress, and I've found it to be very frustrating every single time. My last go around right now is I launched SolidusCode.com. However, I mean, it was good. So I started SolidusCode.com. I relaunched it and it worked out well. So much so that took the time to learn WordPress development with all its idiosyncrasies to the point where like I developed some custom plugins. I was particularly proud of writing a custom, what do you call it, block visibility plugin, where basically I can inject my logic, both JavaScript and PHP, into the global ecosystem of WordPress's block rendering so that essentially I can be able to dynamically hide and show different blocks on the page. And the thought process being like, hey, if I can detect whether or not a user is logged in or not logged in, and then decide to render a particular piece of content and have them be able to view those. But it was a painstaking process that I would not wish on my worst enemy. And so that just kind of like let me know like, hey, if I want to develop anything more custom within WordPress, I'm gonna have to write something that is from the ground up, easy to understand, and very lightweight and also scalable using today's current technology. So here is where I decided, hey, you know what? Like a website is the heart of yourself online, right? If you want to have any type of business, or you want to communicate something at mass to people, you want to, have a full-fledged e-learning module where you're able to kind of just customize it to your heart content. There'll come a point where you want to add functionality that's beyond what is immediately available. But what I've always found is the ability to customize a platform that you happen to be using, whether it's WordPress or if it's Shopify or anywhere else, their programming interface is extremely convoluted. So all that's to say, like this go live is about JustPress and the development that I've been working on for the better part of 6 months to 9 months or so. So from March to like now, so about a good 9 months ish. So there, let's go ahead and jump into the main content here. So let me see. Okay. I don't know. So because I'm live, you've probably seen my recording of myself or my desktop. So okay, no, it's just me right now, like uh, on screen. So I'm moving my screen around, so it's a little confusing. But in any case, I wanted to say, like, let's really just get into, yeah, it's gonna be like right here, getting myself familiarized with navigating while still also live. Okay, what I want to show is my screen, and then from my screen, I ask some questions about, oh, why do people hate WordPress and so on and so forth. But really, kind of here is where stuff hits the fan, or the main content. So what I've been working on is called JxtPress. JxtPress, UK is cool. UK is my real name, actually. So I've been working on this for the better part of some good time. So what it is, it's basically, it's WordPress just on Node.js coupled with Nuxt. And then, of course, we know that Nuxt is powered fundamentally through Vue and subsequently H3 as the server backend. But anyways, so I use Nuxt in conjunction with Node to be able to come up with a good, easy to kind of interact with system to build a website. And this is basically the culmination of what I have so far. So it works based off of, it works in conjunction with, what do we call it? With MySQL. Let me just kind of reset my password here. Okay, so it's powered by this table here, and this table, it represents where everything is stored within JxtPress. So you have an account, you have members that are part of an account, which ironically, okay, actually, as part of our code refactoring, I will be deleting these two tables, because really I've come to realize, you know what, I don't actually need it. And at the same time too, this table here will be renamed to something else, like it will just be called options, because you don't really need it. But it is going to remain within the code base of JxtPress. What it's intended for is to be a global storage system for options that the administrator of the website or the super user can use to manage different aspects of, content or settings within the website itself, right? So we're talking about JxtPress here. JxtPress is the WordPress alternative to WordPress that is developed based off of a modern ecosystem using Nuxt plus, what do you call it? Nuxt plus Vue plus Node.js and MySQL and so forth. So that is options. And then we'll have analytics. Analytics is used to kind of give us information about the user, and where they came from, and where they're going to from navigating from one page to another, in addition to reporting about different aspects of the what you call it, with the page, like how long were you on the page for, and what were you looking at, what did you click on, so you can kind of have a global sort of view of like how your website is doing. And it's going to feed into a reporting dashboard that is yet to be built out yet. It'll be displayed here. So that's kind of like, so far, what JxtPress is. And at the same time, you'll have groups, and as well as, group members. And post is really where the action is, right? You'll have an infinite number of different types of post types that you can have. Just like WordPress, you'll kind of see some similarities here. I did take a lot of cues from WordPress. There's some aspect of WordPress I do like. I just don't like the part where it seems like, hey, you know what? WordPress out of the box comes with limited functionalities. It's slow, and some other idiosyncrasies. Is just like, you know what, like, come on, you know, like e-commerce, why is e-commerce not part of WordPress automatically? I know it didn't start that way, but over time, being that e-commerce is such a vital aspect of having a website, you know, you would think they would go back and have that to be like a part of the boilerplate startup of WordPress, but we're rectifying that with JxtPress entirely. So, like I said, post is where everything is stored. Everything is a post, you know, and then they're differentiated based off of different post types. If we take a look right now onto, I am on the, just seeing, yeah, yeah. So if we take a look here, we see that with post, with the different posts, we'll have different post types, and right here, Jammy later is Jammy list. That's basically the name of a specific post type. You'll have post types for layouts, and layouts is a way to, you know, say, hey, you know, on this page, I want it to be structured or laid out in this particular way. Then you have different block snippets, and block snippets allow you to create different post types quicker and faster by reusing different aspects of you know, blocks. And what blocks are, I'll just kind of like get into in a little later, but blocks are a way to let me just kind of show. These are blocks, right? Like you have blocks for like the header, paragraphs, you can have images, and then with these different you can basically just kind of save a group of blocks together and say, hey, I want to reuse this as a starting place to render or to communicate something later in the future. And so if you're saving that on this particular page right now, you can go ahead and use this in another post and just kind of say, hey, insert this template into this other post that I'm currently working on right now. But I'm getting completely ahead of myself. Things are kind of flying very fast and loose because I'm just so excited, because I've worked on this for the better part of 9 months. So I just wanted to share with people because I'm just very excited. Let's see here. What else are we? Okay, so I'm talking still about post. The post table is very easy. We talk about, you know, like we'll have, again, an account is something that I'm discontinuing, will be dropping from the table list. But essentially you have a created by parent and some quick little you know, URL and other information. But the main piece of a post is merely its title, the description, and the value. And the value is an array. It's a JSON array that gets parsed at runtime to kind of represent, hey, you know what is the content within this particular post. So I hope so far it's real kind of easy to follow along. But again, I'm just kind of giving a broad strokes overview of the data structure that I use within JxtPress, which again is an alternative to WordPress. That's what we're talking about here. So post access. Post access is a way to specify access rights for a particular post. So let's say you have a post that's, you know, maybe a blog post that only your select individuals, select users are supposed to see. Let's say you have a subscription model and people who are part of your website and have subscribed to this particular, you know, resource, only they can access it. And this is how you specify to say, hey, you know what, for post ID number 30, I only want people within the group of, you know, whatever the group ID happens to be able to read, you know, this particular post. And so whenever someone goes to that page and they'll say, hey, you know what? I want to read this, and it'll, depending on whether or not they have access to the page or not by being a part of a member, then they can see or not see the content. And the same thing applies for updating versus deleting. If you're part of that group, you can make edits to that post. Whereas if you're not part of the group, you won't be able to make edits to that post. And so that's the importance of post access. And again, it allows a way to specify, hey, who can or can't read, update, or delete a particular post. And that's what that's talking about. Whereas post metas is a way to have an unlimited amount of option settings or fields for a particular post. So from here, you can say, hey, feature image, it's going to be XYZ for this particular post. If you can think of later on, I'll be adding e-commerce to JxtPress. So you can say, hey, you know what, for this particular product, which again is going to be a post, for this particular product, I want to make sure that this post only has, what do you call it? I want to make sure that this post has maybe like these sets of colors available for users to select upon purchase and so forth. It's just so post metas is a way to, just like in WordPress, is a way to have unlimited amount of settings for a particular post or an item. And this is kind of replicated later on for users as well. A user can have unlimited amounts of fields that you can customize and add different things, and you can use it to do really cool feature implementations to say, hey, if the user has this particular meta field defined to them, how can they go ahead and, they can access some resource or not, or whatever else you want to implement. So with that, let me see. Oop, my phone. I should put my phone on silent here. Beep. Yeah. Okay. So, moving on. So I talked about post metas, and then also too, we have post notes. Post notes is a way to have commenting. So you can post a comment to a particular page, and then that'll be, it'll have I haven't used it yet or implemented it, so that's sad, but it's coming. Basically, you go to a page and submit a post, and there'll be a feature for, what is it called, from comment moderation to approve or deny a comment. So that's what the status field is going to be all about. And post tags is a way to add keywords to posts, so that, well, you can have keywords as well. You can also use it as an implementation for, like, hey, if like I have it particularly for what I call dynamic what is it called, conditional rendering. So for example here, and excuse it's slow right now because this is actually a Linux. I'm remoting into my server, so that's why it seems like it's slow or lagging. It's JxtPress itself, when you actually have it on your machine, it's not going to be that slow, so excuse that. But in either case, so if I was to add a block here, and this is one of my favorite features within JxtPress, it's the block editor, which I built from scratch entirely. It was extremely painstaking, but I loved how it works. I didn't want to use an existing code base like editor.js to implement this, because I really wanted granularity and full control, while also making the system to be extendable by future to the general public once I release the code for everybody. But anyway, so on conditional, I don't know why it's not coming up there. It's right here. It's conditional box. Oh. So it's gonna make me a liar. It's just complete embarrassment. Okay, here we go. So I don't know why I didn't take that first time. So we have conditional Conditional rendering. So conditional rendering is a way to basically say, hey, you know what? I want to add some conditions as to when this block can be visible versus not visible. So I can say, hey, you know what if it has some tags? And tags was what I was talking about just a moment ago, saying that, hey, you know what, if this has a tag and that tag is either XYZ or, you know, you know, price or something, let's say it has price or something, then maybe that means it's a product or something. So if within the post table, this particular post, in this case, it's 539. If 539 has a post, has a if 539 has a tag matching somewhere along here, then that means, we want to go ahead and show this particular block, that's called the conditional block. And so that's kind of the intention there. So you can really use, whether it's meta properties or because meta properties are going to be, right here, or the value. So you can use meta properties or tags to really do some very dynamic and interesting things within your application as well, especially when you couple it with the power of what do you call it? Cron jobs, cron jobs, CRON, cron jobs, which which is actually implemented here that you can't see. Let me see. So if we look here in the background, right, like in the background of JxtPress, cron jobs are occurring every single minute. Not just every single minute. We have different ones running at every minute, every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, every hour, every 2 hours, and so forth. And you can write custom plugins that hook into when these are running. So imagine your website is running and you need to fetch information from some remote database, and the remote database is called, I don't know, whatever. And so you ask it to do something, you get information from it, some regular updates, and then you can use it to then update your database. So like basically, like now you have a fully automated website that runs on itself. Maybe you're scrubbing for the news, and then once they post something at a particular interval, you grab some information from their website, you post on yours, and then like it's just the possibilities, I'm telling you, are endless. That's why JxtPress is so great. Like I can continue talking more about the database structure and all these. Again, we have roles, we have tags, we have users, and all these things. So I'm gonna just kind of digress from there. That the main point there is just to say that is the underlying data structure behind JxtPress. But I want to get into the core motivations of kind of like why JxtPress exists. Okay, so let me just gonna go back and talk about, like, these are like my main points. All right, can you see my screen? Again, I am live on live here on YouTube, my first time ever going live. So if you guys appreciate this type of content, let me know, because it's certainly something new to me. I typically record videos and have painstaking edits, but anyways, so with WordPress, all right, we know that the selling point of WordPress and why it commands the lion's share of the web is because it's free. WordPress is free, but it's not free. It's not free. So WordPress is not free at all. So when you start using WordPress out of the box, you come to realize, oh my God, like, oh, I want to be able to do X, like maybe, let's start with something simple. With WordPress out of the box, it's not free. And the reason why it's not free is something like SEOs. What does SEO stand for? Something, websites optimization, whatever. Like, I forgot the acronym, but it has to do with optimizing your website so that search engines can actually discover you. Yeah, search engine, duh. Search engine optimization. So that's obviously what what you want. You want to be able to create a website and have it be that people can discover you easily. Well, that's an easy little implementation. It's all what it is your header tags, your head tag, you know, for your title and your description, and your Facebook or open what is it? Open, it's not OpenGL. It's open graph kind of tokens and things. So for example, if I go back to let me see, if I go back to JxtPress and just kind of talk about, I don't have a front page here. Okay. So things can break in my view here. Let's see if this, yeah. Okay, so this is a page that is just garbage, but it's an example, blah, blah, blah. So what you have here is for SEO optimization. All SEO is all about, with some, you know, extra complexities that I'm not going to get into. It's all it is this: your header tags and making sure you have these open graph descriptions and keywords and so on and so forth. If you have that, your website has a very strong likeliness of being picked up by both Google and, you know, Bing and other DuckDuckGo or whatever, to then be able to render and give meaningful context as to what your website is about. Well, the problem is with WordPress, out of the box, you don't have this capability. Like you have to install a plugin just to be able to say, hey, you know what, you know, give me my description about my post, about this particular page. Tell it so that the search engine has a good insight as to what this page is about. Why is that not something that is inherently like built into WordPress when it gets shipped out? It's complete bullshit. Excuse my language. So the point being, okay, so and then a lot of people will then immediately install Yoast. Is it Yoast or Roast or yeah, Yoast, Yoast, you know, has their search engine optimization little plugin, and that is free, true, but then it's very light, limited functionality that if you want something a little bit more nuanced, more capable, now you have to start paying them maybe $25 a month, $30 a month. And then out of the year, you'll maybe already immediately, just on that one plugin, have already spent $200. Okay. And then let's say you want to be able to say, hey, you know what? I have some blocks, right? Some custom blocks, whether it's paragraphs or a image gallery, but you only want to show those blocks based off of whether or not it's Tuesday or whether the user's logged in or not logged in. Now you have to pay money for that. The point I'm trying to illustrate here is that while WordPress is free, it comes with extremely limited functionality that you immediately will need to start paying someone to either custom develop for you, or you yourself will have to learn how to implement it. And if you pay someone else, they'll have a reoccurring subscription model where you have to pay them on a monthly basis. And that will slowly rob you blind, especially if your website is not itself immediately profitable. Okay. So that's my pet peeve. Free is not free. And yeah, you may say, yeah, okay, well, nothing is free in life. And that's true. But if you're going to advertise something as free, at least give it the capability that it is very useful, where if you want to add on to more capabilities, it needs to be something that's like the Cadillac of functionality is what you're asking for, which at that point, realistically, yeah, you should pay someone for something like that. But if it's like something as basic as the points I just illustrated, then maybe that should just come with the software out of the box. So that's my one pet peeve there. And then that applies for both plugins and as well as themes. And themes are just a way for your website to just look, you know. And I just get so frustrated that that doesn't come free out of the box, you know. So altogether, the next thing I want to talk about is the limited functionality, and I touched on that already. Out of the box, it does not come free. You have to pay a good amount of money. The same thing is, I don't understand why. I don't understand why WordPress doesn't at this point now. Why does it not come with e-commerce out of the box? Yes, when WordPress started 20 years ago, it was just a blogging place to post your, oh, this is what I'm working on right now, and that's great. But they've clearly made advancements from WordPress 1.0 to now WordPress 7.0, or is it 6.59 or whatever? So why not add, as part of WordPress core, the ability to have e-commerce, and or even at that matter, why don't they have e-learning as well? Because that's clearly something that's of value in our current times right now. So very clear limited functionality out of the box, and that's why JxtPress is built, because it's built with the mindset that out of the box you should be able to run a very successful website with premium functionality that you otherwise would pay thousands per month, and I mean thousands, because some of these plugins are just obscenely expensive. So that's that. The other part is slowness. Like, WordPress is written with PHP, whereas JxtPress is written with Node.js, powered through by Nuxt and H3. And so if you know anything about JavaScript or Node, is that it runs based off of a promise system. It's run in such a way that there is no blocking of not just requests, but of the code being ran. So it can handle a higher volume of requests, whereas with PHP, borrowing some very kind of clever server loading and load balancing and all these things, the amount of requests that you can handle at a time is immediately bottlenecked if you have too many. Whereas with Node.js, with JavaScript, you can handle many concurrent requests, meaning that as your software, as your website becomes more popular, you can rest assured that it can handle the volumes of requests that's being made to your website. And then I know this one very, very intimately, which is the scale to which you can actually, how do I say this? The pain that's involved in learning not learning PHP, but working with PHP, and it's all with its ugly syntax of having a $ in front of everything. How do I say it? PHP is very verbose. It's very lengthy in you trying to do very simple things. Whereas with JavaScript, it's very streamlined. It's easier to look at as well. When you couple the verbosity, is that even a word? The lengthiness of how PHP is kind of formatted to do very simple things like a for loop and all these things. There's a lot of ceremony that you have to go through to try to get that set up, followed by WordPress itself being very confusing and a maze of, well, if you're trying to learn this concept, it expands and depends on 3 other concepts, and well, this is no longer applicable. Now you have to use different routes, and I can't name examples right now, but the development process is very tedious, and it's made even worse when the codec system itself it lends itself to further confusion because you're not sure what's what's current versus what's not current. So that's my frustration with WordPress. The last piece is the security overall for WordPress. Because anyone can write plugins means that everybody can write plugins, meaning that, you know, there's a lot of incompatibility issues and security issues from one plugin to another. One plugin could be great, but because something is open with something else, with some other plugin, it makes the whole entire ecosystem fundamentally at risk. While I don't have an immediate solution within JxtPress to immediately remedy that, other than to say I'm working on figuring out a way that the plugins that you can write within JxtPress is going to be kind of sandboxed. I'm not confident how that will be implemented, so I'm a little dovish around that. So I'm not making an absolute promise, but I'm very conscientious to make sure that as someone writes a plugin for you for JxtPress, or if you write plugins for JxtPress, it's going to be safe and secure. How to do that is still under investigation. But those are some of my core reasons why I'm against WordPress and why I'm opting to move to JxtPress. More the features that I've implemented so far within JxtPress is the following. Of course, the goal is for it to be a modern tech stack that is based off of Nuxt, right? Nuxt in combination with Vue. And then the database system is with MySQL. And then, of course, overall, everything is within the Node.js ecosystem. So there's JavaScript on front end and JavaScript on the back end as well. So which makes development overall very easy and intuitive. So at the same time, it's very easy to work within. I didn't really kind of go into the code base so far, but it is extendable. And it's extendable in the sense that you can write plugins in the back end that's able to handle and extend the capabilities of the entire system overall, from creating custom post types to adding new behaviors entirely, creating new admin pages, and so forth. The current feature list is we have an extendable plugin system. You can create dynamic endpoints using plugins. Like you can create a new HTTP request plugin for for gets and posts and deletes API routes. You can do that on the fly by just simply writing a plugin. As well, we have a custom block editor that has several different, like I think upwards of 30 plus blocks that you can use out of the box, and new ones are being developed all the time. And then as well, there's custom post types that can be created. Each post that you write can be version controlled by using what is it called? By just simply saving it and saying, hey, you know what? Let me save it as a post versus saving it as publish status, by changing the status types. And of course, there's reference pickers, so you can look up content on the database and then just kind of store its ID rather than storing the value of the page itself. So that's pretty cool. And then soon to come is going to be a post comments system, as well as e-commerce, automation blocks, and analytics. So yeah, so I think we're doing good on time so far. I don't know how many people have joined, so yeah, but yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. Let me see here. So I will get into like looking at the code base itself, just to kind of give you a taste here of what this looks like. So I mean, so I'm using Nuxt, right, to write all of this. And as well, let me, as well, we have, really the server is where Nuxt, where JxtPress begins to shine, where you begin to see kind of how it's organized. So within the server folder, you will see here, let me just make sure I'm on screen. Okay. Oh, no, no, no. So let me just kind of toggle to, how do I change this? Bear with me. Nope. There we go. All right. So I think that should be better, right? I am, oh, nope. That's not what I want. Perfect. I think that's what I want. Yeah. Okay. So what I was saying here is this is what the folder structure looks like, and this is in our development environment. So the code base for JxtPress, the server-side logic is organized as such. Within the server, we have the API endpoints. This is where from the different pages, requests are being made to say, hey, you know what, render this page for me versus not render the page, or give me the list of categories and admins and role types and so forth. So that all comes from here, and there's several endpoints. And this here, I was talking to you about, back here we have custom endpoints. Where is that? Dynamic extendable custom endpoints. So what I mean is when a request gets received from API slash endpoint slash whatever the URL happens to be, it'll hit something like here. Let's say a get request. It'll say, hey, you know what? Run whatever plugin has a matching endpoint for this, right? And so that request comes in, right? And then we figure out which plugin do we need to run that matches this particular endpoint here. And then it says awaits the plugin run filter. So what it does, it'll then go to, oh, no, don't want to do that. It'll then go to site plugins, and any registered plugins, it will say, hey, you know what? For this exported plugin, and look for any registered actions that matches the export of, say, get this endpoint sample test. So if I was to send a request to endpoints sample test, it'll say, hey, this particular piece of code will then run here. So that's kind of like the core mechanisms, the pipeline of coding that occurs as we kind of write and run through JxtPress. So I hope that kind of gives you a taste of both how the plugin system kind of works from the development of it, as well as how potentially the end user can then write their plugins to say, hey, you know what, this is kind of how this is going to work. So I can tap into and extend the capabilities of JxtPress. So that's that for that one. So let me see how we're doing here. If this is at all helpful, again, this is completely new to me in terms of having a going live. Let me know. Thumbs up would be appreciated. Okay, so so this is for the endpoints, and mostly the endpoints are just kind of like structured in the same way as well. We have, let's see, yeah. So we have a way to have form submissions and create forms as well, and that is, and this is the endpoint that handles the processing of it. I won't read over the code to you because that would just put a lot of us to sleep. But the functionality is there. So these are just the endpoints. Then at the core of everything, we have here, oops. So we have the core, which is just a class, and the class handles a lot of shared and reusable pieces of code that gets called from different aspects of like capitalization of strings, um, encrypting and decrypting pieces of string as well as ability to generate random strings, typecasting to say, hey, you know what, given, so sometimes we'll have a string that we really represents a number and you want an actual number so you can add to the number, multiply the number, and so forth. So this is an easy way to convert from a string value to an actual data type of that thing that you want. So the core basically houses a lot of common behaviors, as well within the meta property fields are in the tables here. For example, user tables or options. You'll notice that some of them end with a string type of like array item, or it'll either end with any one of these, lookup, color, or so forth. So what this does is say it takes out the suffix, right? Takes it out and then properly parses and then returns that type back to the caller so that they know, hey, okay, this particular meta property is actually one that should be treated as an array versus as a string, you know? So you can do meaningful operations on that same data value. So the database itself, this is a way to basically make requests, interface with the I can't talk right now. Interface with the database, right? It makes the connections, it makes the queries, and it has some helper strings as well, helper functions that make constructing complex SQL statements very, very easily. So for example, here we have a connection, here we have some way to sanitize, and here we have a way to say, hey, I want to make a statement like, for example, I can say something like, if we want to say select ID and name from options, let's just say options table, from options table, where db.is, and then that's going to be where I want name ID to be, where ID is 5, let's say. Or I can even say where ID is, you know, either 3, 12, and so forth, and some array. So it makes taking this statement of ID is, and then it properly constructs a statement such that ID in, so ID in whatever the array values happens to be, it'll take that array and squish it into a understandable MySQL expression for an array, you know. So this, it comes in very handy. And then the same thing applies for like. All right, so I'm getting very low on time here for this go live. I wanted to just be on for 1 hour here, and so what the whole premise and point of JxtPress, it's an alternative to WordPress. That, so if you think of WordPress, you think of PHP, and that's the ecosystem it exists within, and it powers everything. Whereas here with JxtPress, we're thinking JavaScript, Node.js. So for those people who want to not only have out of the box full functionality of a website, JxtPress is your solution, right? Like it's gonna come with e-commerce. It's gonna come with e-commerce, a lot of more fully fledged functionality such as SEOs and other capabilities right out the gates, rather than you having to install a bunch of plugins that's going to slow you down and be extremely costly. So that is the entire premise of it. In addition, you'll have the ability to send emails through the email modules. All it is you just send, hey, you know what, email dot send, and then you give it an option that includes two CC, BCC, subject, and a body, and then the from piece of it is optional, because from your global settings it knows exactly. I'm not going to show my global settings because it has my passwords in there, and I don't want you to see my password. So yeah, that is where we're at here. And then pages is actually where we render pages, how we use to kind of determine, interfacing with our access table. And our access table is back here. We're able to determine if a user has access to a particular resource or not by saying, hey, can the user read or not read something? So I'll just kind of top it off by doing a quick demonstration here. So with JxtPress, when you create a page, you typically have a layout, and the layout starts right here. And then you just say, hey, you know what, let's go ahead and click that, and then it edits the layout of the page. And the layout of the page becomes this thing where you say, hey, you know what, I have a menu at the very top of my website, and I want this to happen on every single page that uses this specific layout. And then you have the layout, the header system there. You can't exactly see the font there, right? You can't exactly see it as far as the text within the menu items. So if I change this to default, all right, it'll then say, and you can then easily see what it is there, right? So dark, yeah, it is what it is. But on the actual live viewing of the page, you'll be able to see it without issue. So there's that. So you can create the header menu, and then you can create, like, this is called a media block. So each of all these things are just blocks, all right? So for the blocks, it's a way to represent the data that you're working with, instead of working with what you see and what you get, sort of rich content editor, like something like what is it called? I can't think of the name. I used to use it for a long time and I really liked it. But anyways, it's like this. You can insert links to it and editors and all these things. So it's like a rich sort of text box. You can type stuff and put pictures in it. But what this is, this is a block editor, and so you can edit blocks of things that don't shift around as you're kind of editing and working with it. So that this is basically how that works. So within each of these blocks, you can insert and remove things from it. So as you can see here, as kind of indicated by, oh, why is that not working? Yeah. Oh, okay, that's why. So as you can see here, like this menu item, I'm not sure if you can fully see it or not. I hope you can. I know you can't. It's all the way to the bottom. Oh yeah. I'm just gonna resize this so you can see what I'm pointing to at the very bottom. Yeah, that's better, I think. So anyways, here, so basically you can see like this menu item is within this header nav control here. It's embedded within it. And I think that's, I don't have another example, but the point being, you can embed one content into another content and use it as a building ladder to build your ultimate website, right? So that's that, followed by here, we sort of just have this item that displays some content, and it can be used for like rendering a list of different things. And then from here, we have what I call server-side rendered content that can be displayed. So here, basically, we're having an opportunity to say, when the page actually renders, I want, because this is a layout, right? When the page actually renders, I want to use this as a way to list out. Here's where I want you to type out the post title. And here's where I want to put out the post feature image. And here's where I want to put out the attributes for the page, sort of like who wrote this post, who, when was the post written, and so forth. And then here's where I actually want the content of the page to be. So if we go back to the page, right, we edit it here. Now when the page gets rendered, we'll see this is the name of the post, this is who created the post, and on what day they created the post as well. We'll see here that we have the actual content of the post itself. And then if we were to edit that content itself, we will see here's the body of the post that we were just working on. And you get your typical things as you would if you're editing a website, such as saying, hey, you know what, I want to change the text of this. Well, not the text, but I guess the font of it. You can change that. You can change the size of it, to smaller and so forth. Oh, yep. So, and just a whole bunch of different things that's really cool. So here we can just kind of like, no, not there. We can click there, and you can get to see a list of different post types you can use to insert within the page. Right? You can have titles, an element is just like a custom element that you want to use. Layouts, images, videos, a card block, as well as a container, site, posts, items. You can create forms, list. One of my favorites is, what is it called? Is it post loop? Yeah, post loop. Post loop is a way to, post loop is a way to get information from, either a page query to say, hey, like for example, if you happen to be a page on page that's about page results, search results, you can find out, you can have like maybe 10 or 12 or however many number of results, and then you can loop a particular block that takes, with respect to each iteration, the search results, and then it renders each and every single one exactly how you want it. It's a way to work smarter rather than harder. And so yeah, I wish I had more time. I'd just kind of dive into that, but there's just so many things I'm excited about with JxtPress. I have literally, again, been working on it since what do you call it, since March of this year, and it's taken me away from creating posting content, but I am extremely proud of the work I have done, if I must say so myself. It's painstaking, but the fruits of my labor, it's coming to fruition. It's something that's going to be free of charge for everyone, but it is community supported, which means absolutely in due time, coming soon, It's going to be available for people to download and use for free to create whatever websites you want to create, whether it's a business website or it's a personal website. That's going to be available for anyone to use. What I mean by it being community supported is saying that I will be opening up a Patreon website. I have a Patreon site already. What I'm asking for is if you like the promise, if you like the promise of JxtPress as an alternative to WordPress that has a lot more capabilities out of the box, and that's going to come with e-commerce, and also that's another thing I was wanting to implement as part of it, an e-learning module aspect as well, because I do a lot of educational content on this channel. Specifically, I want to dive further into assembly and creating a course around that. So part of it is I want to have built a platform that is able to support that direction I'm heading towards, and something that is freely and transparently within my control and I can share with everyone. So again, all that is to say is JxtPress is coming. And if you want, and it's community supported, it's supported by someone like you. So with my Patreon coming up online soon, feel free to go there and support its development. Anything you can contribute is more than appreciated. I'm Solidus. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this live video. I know it's a little scattered and just kind of like on the fly. I'll do a couple more of these live posts. It's a new experience for me that I have never done before. So if you haven't, I think a handful of people came and kind of left. So I'll have to see, like, you know, if it's viable to continue doing live ones. If you're able to join, I'd love to have you join, and we'll have some chats along the way. I'll pretty soon, after I finish up at least a viable first release of JxtPress, go back to creating some new videos. But till then, that's essentially what I've been up to for the past 9 months-ish, in addition to just life happening and all these things. So more than appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And until next time, I'm Solidus. So how do I stop? Excellent. Let me see here. And I literally cannot figure out how to stop the stream. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, there's a big red button that says end stream.